3 minutes in. Sorry. Well, just before we go into the play from this morning, let's just check on the way they're teeing up this afternoon. They're playing in twos today. Of course, they've been playing in threes up until now, but they're playing in twos. And Bob May and Raymond Russell playing in the third last group. Bob May on 137, Russell on 136. The second last group is John Bickerton and Jean Van de Velde. They're both on 135. Bickerton 68-67, Van de Velde 69-66. And the last two in the golf course, Sean Kelsen from Denmark 70-65, and Paul Lawrie, who followed up his first round 68 with 65 yesterday. Well, it was blowing a bit for even the early starters today. And well, the first man we see is John Bickerton. Bickerton for a birdie at the first Warren, and he really has been playing well this week.
He certainly has. This par 5 opening hole, over 600 yards, 601. Got a good opening putt for John.
Moving him to 10 under par. And closing up on Paul Lawrie, but Lawrie not to be moved at the top of that leaderboard. This his third shot to that opening par 5 hole. Lawrie, whose only win was down in Spain over 36 holes in an event which was shortened because of almost into the hole for an eagle 3. Cast-iron birdie, moving him to 12 under. He parred the second hole. This is tee shot at the short third.
Yes, not too short either. 230 yards of real trouble. Water away on the right. good iron.
Another birdie chance for Paul Lawrie.
Only used the putter 26 times yesterday in his round. And obviously still working for him on this third round Friday afternoon.
Yes, Wednesday through Saturday this event this year, because of the players who are playing here this week who are going to next week's World Championship in San Diego. Well, Lawrie, a couple of early birdies. This was Bickerton at the fourth. Beautiful approach shot, setting up a birdie three, moving him to 11 under par. But once again, Paul Lawrie was equal to the challenge. This his putt for a birdie at the fourth.
And that'll count as a chip in because he's using the putter from off the green. Good for the stats. Red hot putter in his hands. 13
birdies this week for Lawrie and hasn't dropped a shot. Up at the ninth, Ian Woosnam. He dropped a couple of shots on that opening nine, but he has had 4 birdies. He has moved to 8 under par. And if Paul Lawrie or John Bickerton, Stephen Gallagher, who's moved up to 9 under par, he's 2 under for the day through 6. Sean Kilson, who's even par through 5, do slip. Woosnam might just be right in there to take over control of this Qatar Masters. Kang Wook Soon is up there too on 8 under par. Raymond Russell at 8 under and Jean van der Velde at 8 under. Russell is even par today and Jean van der Velde has dropped a shot at the fourth. Further on down the list, there's Bob May. He's 1 over for the day. He's 6 under par. He's only dropped 2 shots in 42 holes, but it's the men up at the top of the leaderboard, Bickerton and Lawrie, who are really doing well on these excellent greens. Oh, it's so close. Bickerton popping that one in then for his par at the sixth.
Just the sort of start John wanted. He's been reading a book over the winter, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, and in the mould of one of those positive approach books, and given to him by his wife following the advice of a car dealer friend, and it seems to be working very well for him.
That's a par for Jean van der Velde, who stays at 8 under, 1 over 4. His first 6 holes. Dropped that shot at the fourth, where both Lawrie and Bickerton birdied, and Stephen Gallagher, and Ian Woosnam, and Kang Wook Soon.
First look today, Bob May at the 7th. And I think we're going to see Bob record his first birdie of the day. Once he taps that one in, that'll get him back to level par. 7 under, not too far away.
Jamie Spence is even par today. He's at 6 under par. He's on the tee at the short 8th. Good hole, the short 8th. We haven't seen too much of it in the last 2 days.
Oh, cracker.
Yes, maybe a little bit of the fear taken out of the hole today with the wind coming from right to left. There's water on the left-hand side, so they can aim it at the safer side and let the wind push it towards the hole.
Well, Paul Affleck's had the best round of the day so far. He didn't drop a shot in a 5 birdie round of 67. Affleck was one of the early starters today, and in fact off at 725, 70, 74, and then 67 today, moving him to 5 under.
Interestingly, changed his putting grip on the first hole, putted it the normal way round on the first. On the second he went cack-handed, and then he alternated just as he felt the mood take him. So a kind of an interesting putting round.
Let's have a look at the 6th, Warren. We haven't seen much of this over the last 2 days either. So many good holes on this golf course.
Plenty of good holes, and remember, slightly different to what you're going to see on the screen, because they have grown the rough in. 427 yards.
Well, you can see the difference there in the rough. Kelson's second. Kelson's best performance, 11th. Oh no, and look at that ball has just slipped away down into the thicker rough. And, well, that fairway there, as you see it now, nothing like the fairway in the aerial shot which was taken last year. There was almost a good case for redoing the aerial shots. The course has changed so dramatically. Well, we're with the man who is 3 shots clear of the field at the present moment, 14 under par, Paul Lawrie.
Very good hole, the 6th. Good tee shot. Players need to avoid that trap down the right-hand side. And Lawrie from prime spot in the middle of the fairway. Just 150 yards to the front of the green. So the flag's 17 paces on. And could have done with just another club to get it up towards the back part of the green. So going to be left with a long 17-yarder. Has worked with his friend Adam Hunter, coach now at the Scottish Academy at St Andrews. Yeah, all I heard was get ready to go to a break. I mean, then it went 10, but I mean, that's why I kind of cut it.
Flower bed, isn't it? And I would have all them moved. How long did you say? 30 seconds.
I didn't hear.
No, I can hardly hear it.
See, Holly's so loud.
This is the 7th.
Back there either. So he's got his work cut out right now.
Well, the man on screen is John Bickerton, who's currently lying second on 11 under par, 3 shots behind the leader Paul Lawrie, but he's hit his ball into well, an impossible position at the 7th. It might be unplayable in the long grass. Meanwhile, back on the 6th, Kelson, twice in the rough, finally got it on the green, and he's got that for par.
Kelson 86 on the Volvo rankings at the moment, or the order of merit, I should say. Just under €7,000.
And that in pounds, multiply by 1.4, and you get the pounds.
Just under £10,000. Best position he's had, 43rd in the South African Open, so in fairly rarefied atmosphere. Now a long approach putt from Lawrie up the green, up a little tier as well. Just a few feet short of the hole, and he's certainly got the feel of these greens this week. So no danger there of dropping a shot. and hasn't looked like dropping a shot since he started the tournament, and that's surprising because he's had quite a long layoff over the winter, hasn't played a great deal. Of course, had birth of their second child on Christmas Day. Young Michael was born, just weighing in at 8 pounds or so, so that gave them a lot of cheer.
Big baby.
He's a big fella.
Well, Bickerton just wondering what he can do. He was lucky to find the ball because it's in that very deep pampas type grass in amongst the rocks. We haven't actually seen him take a drop, have we?
Well,
But he obviously has, because there's the ball.
I think he hit it further up in towards that sort of love grass there. Hit a 3-wood off the tee, aimed it left in the left to right breeze, and well, then hit it left going left. So rather a poor shot by John. But see the pin cut on the right hand side. This not too difficult a shot because that wasteland sand is quite firm. Not like playing out of bunker, but he's got to make good clean contact here. Nine iron up the hill. And he may even get away with a par. Good recovery.
Some good shots have been hit this week on this golf course, which is an excellent test. The tragedy is that there are so few people watching the golf. Golf in Qatar is not a big sport. Most of the people who play it are expats, people from other countries who are working here on engineering projects and perhaps as accountants and other professions. Stephen Gallagher, 2 under for the day, 9 under for the tournament. Comes like his uncle from Bathgate in West Lothian, a little town which is halfway between Edinburgh and Glasgow in the central belt of Scotland. And the golf course at Bathgate is 18 holes crammed into, well, a very, very small area. It's amazing that they have a golf course there at all of 18 holes. Andrew Oldcorn from Edinburgh, 68 today. Affleck was the best score, if you remember, 67 so far, but Oldcorn shooting 68 and getting round without dropping a shot.
Laurie just playing for position, going down the hill. Whole myriad of bunkers away down the left-hand side, so not a hole that requires a long tee shot, just to get it down to the bottom of the hill. A little bit more difficult to approach for him, though, from that right-hand side with the flag cut on the right edge of the green. He'll be left with the second shot uphill, slightly blind from, well, blind in as much that he can't see the bottom of the hole, but in good shape on the fairway.
We saw Bob May hitting a very good approach shot at the 7th when he did make his birdie, so he has moved back to 7 under, and this is Kang. He's twice been number 1 earner on the, well, what used to be the Omega Tour in Asia. It's now the Asian PGA Tour, and in fact he's the Asian PGA Tour's biggest career money earner, and playing better here this week than he has in the other 3 events he's played on the European Tour this season. Missed the cut in all 3. That was for a birdie at 9. This is Woosnam.
Hole where some of the players are able to get up in 2 today, but it requires 2 good smacks. Woosie just on the bank in that thickish rough, and should, on that little tap in down the hill, get his 4.
And that 4 will move him to 9 under par and give him a share of 3rd spot with Gallagher and Kelson. Well, Bickerton for his par, for an adventurous par at 7.
Good looking stroke. He's a hard worker, John Bickerton. He's not afraid of doing his time. He went out to United States over the Christmas period. Played on a few Nike Tours events, not a Nike Tour, mini tour events in between the European Tour and the Challenge Tour finishing and the season starting. Played 10 events, won 5, just about cleared his expenses, but kept him playing. Played 22 events last year on the Challenge Tour without a break. Ironman.
Kjeldsen, who parred the 6th, tee shot at the 7th, also with an iron for position, but unlike Laurie, not quite keeping it on the fairway, but he'll be fine there. He's not in the deepest cut of rough. Woosnam.
Well, I've given him this. Don't let me down, Woozy. Well done. That's handily placed. Tucked in 5 behind the leader at the moment.
Well, that's his 5th birdie of the day in 10 holes, and he's just had 3 in a row. Now, you may be wondering why Per Ulrik Johansson is on screen, because yesterday it seemed as if he'd missed the halfway cut. Well, after we went on the air, there was a complete change in the scoring. And would you believe it, Per Ulrik Johansson did make the cut. And today he celebrated that by shooting a 69 to move to 3 under par. He's 11 shots off the pace, but it's nice to see Per Ulrik playing at the weekend, when we thought, indeed everybody thought, that he'd missed the halfway cut.
Yes, he was 2 under for the par 5s today. What a difference to the first couple of rounds when he was about 5 or 6 over. Jean van der Velde, man who leads the greens in regulation stats this week, making good use of that approach to the 7th. Gets his first birdie of the day.
Well, it's the hole that Van der Velde has just played, and it's the hole that Søren Kjeldsen and Paul Lawrie are now on. And once again, the fairway much better delineated than it was last year. All those bunkers up on the hill, and well, we saw players taking irons for safety to avoid going into them. Second shot up the hill, and as Warren was saying, you can't see the bottom of the flag.
Yes, having to bring it over the bunker that guards the right entrance, and didn't have enough height on that coming down the breeze. And the reason, I suppose, for taking the iron, there is no reward for cutting the corner of the dogleg. There's too much sand away left, so it's forcing the players away to the right. Nicely shaped green, giving quite a few areas for the tour officials to put the pin placements, but they are large greens. Larger, I would think, than the, well, a good deal larger than the Dubai Creek last week.
Well, I'm just wondering, oh, someone's putting him off, or something did put him off, something or someone. Up the hill.
135 yards, 9 iron for Lawrie. Usually the Guardian performance stats are so good throughout the week that we're able to update you with information of how the players are doing, but a slight hiccup for Paul Lawrie. We have all the details for all the other players, but nothing for Paul because he's not played on the tour this year, so his stats aren't included, which I find a little bit amazing. I'm sure they'll clear that up by next week.
Well, they've got 2 weeks because there's nothing next week. I'm still waiting for the week-by-week performance guide. We're 5 weeks into the tour and we haven't got that yet.
Now, Stephen Gallagher, you were talking about his uncle, but you didn't say who his uncle was.
Bernard Gallagher, the Ryder Cup captain for the past 3 years, whom I mentioned in the opening. Lawrie at 14 under, Bickerton at 10, Woosnam and Gallagher with Van der Velde at 9 under par, and also at 9 under Søren Kjeldsen. Paul Lawrie for a birdie at the 7th. Not getting it to the hole that time. We were getting worried that he might have just putted before you returned, but he did hang on. But he should get his 4 and stay at 14 under. But that really a chance missed for Lawrie. Perhaps the grain fooling him there a bit.
Yeah, it's going downhill, but into the grain. He obviously thought it was going to be a tad quicker.
Gallagher. His uncle, of course, playing on the seniors tour this year for the first time. Bernard Gallagher has just turned 50, although he looks about 35. Well holed by Stephen Gallagher, and that's out in 33. And Gallagher goes to 10 under par and is tied with John Bickerton in second place. Well, we've had 3 first-time winners the last 3 weeks. Is there a possibility that Stephen Gallagher could win his first European Tour event here this year and become the second Scottish winner of the title? Remember, Andrew Coulthard won it here last year.
Bickerton at the 8th. Just a little bit wide. Good to get you 3 though on this hole, but while you were away, Jean van der Velde hit a very fine tee shot into the hole, so he'll be certainly looking for a 2.
Incidentally, the defending champion Andrew Coulthard is slipping down the leaderboard instead of moving up it. He is 1 over today. He's back to 3 under par, and that's 11 shots off the lead, so very unlikely at this stage that Andrew Coulthard is going to successfully defend.
Yes, Coulthard just a shot better at the moment than last week's winner David Howell, who is 2 under. Howell, who shot 72-72 the first 2 rounds, at least is now starting to find a little bit more of that form that grabbed his first European Tour title last week.
Wayne Riley slipping back too. He's 1 over par and he's back on 4 under. And still, our leader hasn't dropped a shot this week. Par for Lawrie at 7. Keeps him 3 under for the day and 14 under for the tournament. Leads by 4 from Gallagher and from Bickerton. Woosnam and Van der Velde with Sean Kelson on 9 under par, but Kelson's just dropped a shot at 7, so he's back on 8 now.
Wee Woozy, second to the 11th. 414 yards, and that's more of where I thought they might have put the pin this week, over on that right-hand side, bringing the bunkers into play. Fairly tame flag position yesterday. Another good chance, though, for Woosnam. But have a look at this 8th hole. This is the hole that Lawrie is playing at the moment, playing from an elevated tee, 190 yards today down the hill. And you can see the entrance to the green very narrow indeed, and with the rough cut all the way around it. Not only is the water a hazard, but so is that thick edging of ryegrass that's been grown around the greens to toughen up the course.
Ranald McNeil, who's in charge of the golf course and who's got it in the condition that it is, has done a marvellous job. The change in the look of the golf course from the first Qatar Masters last year is, well, dramatic. No holes in one here at the 8th, although we have had 3 holes in one here this week, 2 at the 17th and 1 at the 13th. John Bickerton getting the one at the 13th, and Eduardo Romero and Patrick Sherland getting holes in one at the 17th. Sherland, who's 1 under par and in the clubhouse. Sherland, who's one of the Europeans who will be heading across the Atlantic to take part in that Anderson Consulting World Championship event. We haven't got all our usual statistics at the present moment on our computer, but I can tell you that at this hole yesterday in the second round, Paul Lawrie made 3, and in the first round he also made 3. So he hasn't birdied this hole, although he has made 13 birdies so far this week. How's Kelson done at this hole?
Renton on the second day had a wonderful finish, 3-2-4, so he made a 2 here. Not so on round 1. But now for Laurie, aiming it down the fat side of the green. 5-iron. Letting the wind push it back towards the hole, and that's a very classy shot. He'll be left with the uphill putt, but into the breeze. And I tell you what, since Adam Hunter has left the tour and worked with Paul Laurie on his game, oh, Paul's played very well indeed. Must be some pupil, some teacher, Adam Hunter.
Adam Hunter, who teaches with the Scottish Golf Union up at Drummoyg, which is their headquarters. It's not very far from St Andrews, and if you are coming across to Scotland on holiday and you are in the Carnoustie, St Andrews area, pop into Drummoyg, see their facilities there. It's the headquarters of the Scottish Golf Union and the Scottish professional golfers. And you get a very nice meal at Drummoyg as well, by the way, as Ian Woosnam just misses his birdie on 11. Been a bit unlucky. We've seen him yesterday just miss a couple, especially at 15. Beautifully weighted putt, just ran past the hole and had to work hard to stay out.
You didn't mention that you could get a wee dram there in Scotland.
Well, I'm sure you can. Drummoyg, by the way, is just short of the Tay Road Bridge on the way to Dundee from St Andrews. Bickerton at the 9th, 647 yards.
Quite important to hit the fairway with the rough very thick off this tee. If you don't get it on the short grass, then it leaves a very long third shot.
Well, we'll take a break after just having another glance at the leaderboard, which shows for the moment Scotland's Paul Laurie very much in control, holding a 4-shot advantage over Gallagher and Bickerton. Marc-Antoine Fari, Eduardo Romero, Santiago Luna, Jim Payne, Philip Walton. So there's been only 5, but it's 7 birdies at this hole all day, at the 9th, I mean. Paul Laurie's leading the way here by 4 from Stephen Gallagher and John Bickerton. Ian Woosnam very handily placed with Jean van der Velde, the Frenchman, who's on screen at the moment, on 9 under par. They're 5 shots off the lead, but they're sharing 4th spot. Paul Laurie.
In fact, that was Bickerton's second shot to the 9th, not
Paul
on the
Lawrie.
8th hole, as the graphic showed, but just laying it up in position to play a good pitch to the green.
Yes, I misspotted him then. I thought for a moment it was Paul Lawrie. Mark James, who's playing today with Alex Cheika. James, who is currently 5 under. Cheika 9 under par, still very much in the hunt for his first tour victory since he won 3.
Interesting, just looking at the scores with Lawrie at 14 and James there back at 5 after that good opening 67. He was saying that he couldn't understand how they get round here in 18 under, and he was not going to be fooled by the early good form of his. Talking to him in the practice round, he says, I just don't know how they get round this course in 18 under. It's just not an 18 under par course as far as he was concerned, and that's what they're doing this week, and it's very fine play in strong conditions. Jamie Spence not able to get up on the green on 10. He's down in the gully in the thickish grass, but shouldn't be too bad there.
Tough old pin position, pretty near the front of the green, you know, especially on a day when not too many of them are getting on the green in 2. Cheika, by the way, won his 3 events back in 1995. He hasn't won since then, but he's just gone birdie, birdie, birdie from the turn to get to 9 under. Well, can Gallagher make the green at 10?
It's hard to keep a long iron high enough in the air to carry all the way to the hole. That's exactly what young Stephen has done.
That's an impressive shot, isn't it?
Very impressive, and a good eagle opportunity for him as Lawrie goes for the birdie on 8.
Outside that marker? Or in the other way? The other way it was, and he didn't quite get it right, but a safe cast iron 3 for Lawrie. And Kilson should get a 3 as well.
Woosnam, second shot to this very difficult 12th hole. Not a particularly long shot, but very narrow neck where they've put the green over a gully. Like 16 paces on, 5 from the left, and that's not where he wanted to be, and nearly away in that gully on the left. It goes short of the green and away around the back part to the left. And with a short iron second shot, then I think Woosnam will be disappointed with that.
This is one of the longest holes that the European tourists play throughout the season. There's 647 yards par 5/9 there, Warren.
Yeah, not one that fills me with a great deal of enthusiasm, I'd have to say. It's away on the right-hand side. It's a big wasteland area. It's almost like a water hazard, but very dry. They have grown the fairway in, and it is important to get it onto the fairway. There is no chance, really, of reaching this green in 2, but if you drive it into the rough, then you can't move it very far down the course. And hitting the fairway leaves you with a long iron second to leave it short of those bunkers, and then about a 60 or 70 yard pitch into a very large green. And if you're playing a pitch to such a large green, I think that's also a poor target. So not high on my list of great holes, and there are some very good ones here. It's what I call a dobber hole. A couple of dobs and then a pitch. Still, it has to be played, and our leader finds some thickish rough.
Does narrow down there, doesn't it, just at the area where the drives are finishing off. 37 birdies all week, but not many birdies today, just 7. Ian Woosnam was and Stephen Gallagher, I beg your pardon, were the last to make birdies.
And this is the layup area where Bickerton has hit his second shot, so you can see now playing quite a bit short of those traps. Just about 110 yards or so for John, but a huge target. almost think if you're going to have the genuine three-shotter, then perhaps the third shot, because you're only going to hit it maybe 100 yards, the green should be really quite small. Set to receive just a wedge or a 9-iron. I'm a bit critical today, aren't I? Not normally like me.
Well, it's all constructive criticism, though. I mean, no one could possibly fault you for your comments on the 9th. They're all very valid. Well, this is Gallagher, who's got the chance of an eagle at this 10th hole. And I'm going to just try to work our Unisys computer to see whether I can find out whether we've had any eagles here today. I rather doubt it.
Good luck.
Well, Andrew McClardy, I can tell you, has had an eagle here. Andrew McClardy, who's currently 5 under.
Not too many been recorded with the putter in the hand. Of course, we saw Philip Price in our opening pitch in on his second round for a very fine eagle.
A good birdie there for Gallagher. So birdie at the 9th and the 10th for Gallagher, who moves to 11 under par and reduces Laurie's lead. Santiago Luna made an eagle here. And, well, only 2 eagles.
Jean van der Velde must have been in trouble off the tee, because very unlikely to miss this green with a wedge from just 100 yards or so, but you can see how the ball really nestling down, and there's a 50-50 shot as to whether he can get it to come out as he wants. Good result. So the man who leads the greens and regulation stats for the first 2 rounds, missing the 9th there.
Laurie's a winner on tour. Gallagher isn't. Bickerton isn't. Cheka is a winner on tour. So too Woosnam. Van der Velde has won once. Christopher Hannell, who has moved up to 8 under par, has not won on tour, and neither has Kang or Keltson. As Woosnam plays his 3rd at the 12th and gives himself still some work to do to make his par and stay at 9 under. Bob May, by the way, has gone through the turn in level par, so he remains 7 under for the tournament. I'm just trying to find out how Jerry Norquist is doing, the other American.
Well, that's a fairly short iron for Laurie, and 350 yards away from the green, so I hope he's hit it far enough to be able to leave himself perhaps a long iron into the green for his 3rd. Pretty important to hit the fairway, as I've said, on 9. That's a good example of why.
Jerry Norquist is currently 3 under par. He's got 3 holes to play, and he's lying joint 27th. Bob May, the leading American, on 7 under par, and that is joint 10th. Seems to be pretty fired up. I don't know whether he read the Gulf Times, which is a newspaper published in Dubai, which I was reading earlier this week, in which the author of an article made it quite clear that there were going to be many changes in the Ryder Cup. The European Ryder Cup team this year definitely out were Ian Woosnam, Sam Torrance. I'm not so sure he mentioned Bernard Langer as well. He just virtually wiped the whole of the older brigade out in one paragraph, and Woosnam drops a shot. He just touched that, didn't he?
A little bit tentative. But starting to play himself into a little bit of form. Of course, in that World Championships, provisionally down to play Scott Hoke. That's a kind of a mini little Ryder Cup battle in its own way.
Bickerton nearly making his 4. He'll make 5.
Really enjoys being on tour, John Bickerton. His family have a family business His father and uncle and cousins are in sheet metal workers in England. He's been in that job for a couple of years, but he said, I tell you what, being on tour, a whole lot nicer.
Well, that's an unfortunate miss from Van der Velde, because that means he takes 6. And so he's back on 8 under. 2 drop shots, just the one birdie, 1 over par 37. But it's Paul Lawrie who's leading the way. He hasn't dropped a shot this week. He's had 3 birdies today. He's 3 under for the 8 holes he's played. And he's 14 under and leading another Scot by 3 shots.
He looked good last week too, and then
Slipped away. Tell you, it'd be a good victory for Stephen Gallagher. I must say that was a very impressive second shot, wasn't it?
very.
Has he got fat shafts now?
I don't think so. I don't know, to be honest. This is why I'm a bit annoyed that they linger with our openings and I can't get onto the practice ground. I think it's quite important for me to stroll down the practice ground for an hour or so while they're warming up, just to play well, isn't he?
I'll be but unlucky they'd run on so far. That was his 3rd shot. Paul Lawrie has played 3 and is at the back of the green, and so he will be putting back down to the pin for his birdie 4, as on the 10th, Jean Van der Velde. Good chance to look at his swing, Warren.
Yes, just noted quite a strong left-hand grip John has, but hasn't changed his swing much over the last few years. A very neat player. Spent a month over the winter skiing in the Pyrenees. It's fairly laid back, casual player really. Not had the season I thought last year that perhaps suited his game. Almost disappeared from sight for a while. So good the year before.
This is Kang. That was for a birdie at number 12. Not to be for Kang. Of course, the Asian PGA Tour is now fully fledged, if you like. Performances on the Asian PGA Tour, I think next year, will be included in the world rankings. I'm not so sure this year, but I think from next year. And that just shows you that that circuit has come of age.
Paul Lawrie walking onto the 9th green now. In a few moments, his ball pitched about there. You can see a good bit short of the hole, about 30 feet, going in with a long iron and into a cross breeze. And greens drying out considerably, so they're not getting the amount of stop on them in this 3rd round that they were at the beginning of the week. That's a little bit more difficult to control the ball once it hits the green, so they are getting quicker. But you must be delighted, Renton. 2 Scots at the top of the leaderboard.
Yes, and the Scot who holds the title, though, is slipping back because he's just dropped another shot. If you were looking at our alphabetical, he's just back to 2 under par, 2 over for the day.
Laurie, though, I think looking to lay the ghost of last year's Portuguese Open, 72, 64, 69. He had in his opening rounds, and was a shot behind going into the last day, and shot a horrendous 82. The wheels completely came off. In fact, he only hit his tee shot on the first hole at Penina about 80 yards, almost through his legs, and was lucky not to hit the ball out of bounds. It was just one of those days that was a complete disaster. Looking a lot more confident this week.
Seems to be more sure of his golf swing this week than perhaps he was at times last year, thanks to Adam Hunter. This is for 4.
He's standing a little bit closer to the ball and clearing through the impact area a little bit more. Trying to swing the club more left, more neutral, a bit more upper rotation, seems to be helping him. Certainly playing very well this week.
Well, when he won that event in Catalan in northern Spain, the wind blew very strongly over a Robert Trent Jones Jr. course. And of all the players who controlled their ball best, Laurie did just that, and over 36 holes emerged as the winner. But he's never won over 72, and that's really what he wants to do.
From one Scot to another, Raymond Russell. Russell, who's 1 over, 7 under for the tournament, 1 over for today. Another long putt from the back of the green at 10.
Around the corner at the 11th, Stephen Gallagher. Quite a sharp dog leg. And, well, might have done with maybe one more club. Maybe expecting a bit of a flyer coming out of the rough there, and didn't maybe get what was expected. Here's Bob May. We haven't seen him today. That's his third shot at the 10th.
He's held a couple of chip shots this week, and is he going to get another at 10? Well, it wasn't far away.
Well, tap in for his birdie, and Bob May will move to 8 under par, and suddenly from 10th move up to joint 5th. Laurie for his par at 9. And still he hasn't dropped a shot this week.
Good 9 out in 33.
Yes, matching the outward 9 of Stephen Gallagher.
Bickerton, second to 10. We've seen a lot of that. Almost wanted one more club, just of course holding that out on the right into the breeze, and if you just hold it up too much, it takes quite a bit of yardage off the second shot. Almost need to let it go on the wind a little. Can't overdo it because you can see the desert wasteland away to the left. A lot of trouble short of the green left and long left. The bailout area is right, hence a number of players leaving it away on that right hand side.
Oh, just getting it up and over the top of the ridge there. Van der Velde, incidentally. Wayne Wiley's making a bit of a comeback. He's just had a couple of birdies at the short 13th and then the 14th up the hill. So he's moved to 6 under par. Gary Evans also birdied the 13th, and he's on 6 under par. Miguel Angel Martin, who had bogey-free 68, is also on 6 under. But 6 under is 8 shots behind Paul Lawrie, who's leading from Stephen Gallagher. Double Scotch at the top of the leaderboard on the Qatar Masters. Matches Grunberg.
It is further up, it's too far ahead, isn't it? It's probably got the cameras. I mean, to be honest, he's 6 back.
Yeah. But I mean, we have seen every other one except him. think he'd make a good Ryder Cup man?
I think he would, but he's such a poor putter. I mean, it's such a poor. The one thing you want in a Ryder Cup match, people that can hole out under pressure. Tee to green is as good as anyone.
Waistline.
Bunker, I think. I got the feeling it's a shot from fireman. As far as, you know, you might be looking from here downwards as a winner. I'm not sure. He may do it. But
I don't think Gallagher is, but he may not have the experience yet. Price is one of these.
looks good.
I'll tell you, Pickett might win it. Paul Laurie at 14 under par has hit his tee shot into trouble off the 10th tee, and John Bickerton is also in trouble at the 10th. He's in the rough, and this is his third shot.
Hard to get the height on that, out of that thick rough, to get it to stop near the flag, which is cut on the front of the green. Almost better off being either a long way short or at the back of the green.
Just on the left of your picture there, Jean van der Velde, who can chip this in for an eagle 3, and that would be pretty clever, because if he did, he'd move to 10 under par and share third spot. Stephen Gallagher, by the way, has just dropped a shot at the 11th, 3 from the edge for Gallagher there. So he's back on 10 under par. So Laurie is back 4 shots clear of Gallagher and Bickerton, as here Jean van der Velde attempts to join the group, now in second place.
Just looking to pitch this about 3 feet on the green or so with this lofted iron, and it released towards the hole. Not a great deal of break in it, so very makeable. Well, he had the weight right, just set it off a little bit too far right, but a good birdie nevertheless.
Well, now there you go. That's the way to set up the line for your boss. Get down on all fours, and it doesn't always work, because your boss has then got to hole it on the line that you've chosen.
I've never seen a good putter have someone line it up for them. I've seen people trying to regain their form using that sort of method, but I don't think if you can't see it and you can't feel it, I don't know how you can have someone lining you up. But there you go.
This was Gallagher's par putt. Told you that he missed it, so we know that he didn't get it. Bubbled just a little bit, but that was 3 from the edge. If you remember, he just finished on the front edge of the green after having gone very close to the inside of the dog leg as the 11th hole bends round quite severely. It's his first drop shot of the day. Bickerton is now playing for 4.
Bickerton made an eagle here on his first round. Parred it yesterday. So he's had a couple of eagles this week. Of course, one being a 1. Hole in 1 on the 13th.
Comes from Worcestershire in England, famous for the sauce. Sometimes I'm sure that you've had Worcestershire sauce on your hamburger.
Well, he's a bit of a cheeky chappy, isn't he? Nice lad. Of course, played on the Challenge Tour a good bit last year. Played 14 events, 3 top 5s. 7 top tens, and well, you can see by those stats, putting a good deal better this week than his season's average.
It's interesting, everybody calls them the Guardian stats. No one ever really calls them the Guardian performance data. They'd be better to switch it to the Guardian stats. Easier to say, and it's what everyone says. Much shorter for the caption as well, but Bickett makes his 5 and wanders on to the tee at the 11th. Well, this is the 14th, and it's Philip Price, who's just had a 2 at the short 13th. He's 8 under par.
Price for the 3rd day running, playing with Ian Woosnam. Sort of a Welsh special deal for the expats out here.
The wind continuing to blow at the same consistency for the last 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours.
Making this 14th a good deal easier to play, but 15's going to be a very tricky hole.
That's the hole, the 15th, that Bob May described as the best on the golf course yesterday when we were speaking with him. Good shot by Kelson, gets him on the green and putting for an eagle at 10.
A bit further back than some of the other players, had him from 243 yards, so excellent shot from Soren.
Oh, he was getting with a bit of danger there, and well, not an easy shot coming up for him from that rough. Laurie, who was in trouble off the tee at 10, has laid up in 2 and will be playing his 3rd to the 10th green.
You can see the season's average last year for Paul. Not all that good with the driver, but now leading here this week, so a good deal of improvement. Perhaps that's gone down to Adam Hunter. No chance of him reaching the green on this 10th hole. Drive went left in and out of the bunker, so just a recovery from the rough. Now a pitch from 80 yards, and he still might make the birdie.
Well, certainly shouldn't drop a shot. Short and follow through there, making sure that the ball, when it did land, stopped where it was virtually.
Gallagher on the 12th across the ridge. Doesn't often speak to his uncle Bernard Gallagher, but not afraid to ask him for some advice. And of course, one of the best bits of advice he got was, you know, whether he should turn pro when he was 16 or 17 or 18, and the advice was no. So he waited till he was 21 or 22, and he reckons that's the best bit of advice he's had. I wonder whether really Justin Rose should have done that. Hung on for a bit.
Nobody for Philip Price at 14. And in this windy weather and on one of the higher greens on the golf course, still a tricky little one to come on the 11th tee. Bickett
Wasting no time, fairly brisk swing, but carted that one away out to the right, and it should be short of those trees. Not the ideal line. Wanted to be further over on the left-hand side.
We saw Wisdom drop a shot at 12. He parred 13 to stay at 8 under par. This to go to 9 under. This to join Shaker. and Raymond Russell and Van der Velde.
Not had this broom handle putter for very long, Ian Woosnam, and sometimes when the wind is quite strong, a little bit more difficult to maintain your balance. So quite enjoy actually having a test out in this breeze. Can Kelton make an eagle? So he'll move to 9 under, back to level par for the day.
I tell you, Raymond Russell birdied the 10th as well, and he's got a chance of a birdie here at the 11th. From long range, up the hill, then it levels out a bit just before the hole. Oh, straight in. Never varied, did it?
Pretty good with the old blade when he gets it going, Raymond Russell. Remember a couple of years ago at the British Masters, started off with 8 straight birdies. That at the Forest of Arden.
Paul Lawrie misses his birdie at 10. He gets his par, and he remains at 14 under, 4 shots clear. We saw Raymond Russell holding a birdie putt at the 11th, when I can tell you that the man he's playing with, Bob May from America, dropped a shot there, so he's back on 7 under. Lawrie at 14 under, Gallagher and Bickerton at 10 under, Chaker and Russell along with Van der Velde at 9 under par.
Noddy.
Mentioned that Gallagher was in that winning Walker Cup team, did we? Was he in a winning Walker Cup team? Maybe not. Maybe he lost in. Was he in the Irish team?
Gallagher?
Yeah.
How can he be in the Irish if he's Scottish?
No, the team that lost in Ireland. Or was he in the team that won in Wales? Well, the Walker Cup team, he could be Irish and be in the team, as it turns out.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't mean that, but we know he's Scottish is what I mean. Walker Cup 95.
Well, that was fourth call, I think. He must have been in the Tiger Woods one.
He did, because he lost to Tiger Woods and John Harris, playing with Gordon Sherry.
Never put two Scots together. Fatal. Gerald Mickle.
Oh, fuck. Gary.
Well, Paul almost waited for us, but didn't quite. The ball in the air of Paul Laurie there, catching himself up in the rough on the inside of the dogleg at the 11th. That's where Stephen Gallagher finished, and he dropped a shot from there.
Bickerton missed the green up ahead. We saw him in trouble off the tee away to the right, and still not on the putting surface.
Tell you who's enjoying seeing John Bickerton play well is our own producer, our own Golf Channel producer, John McCalmont, who comes from Droitwich, a little village just outside Droitwich, where Bickerton comes from, and played on the same golf course, and from time to time with John at the club. So he's delighted that Bickerton's up there on the leaderboard.
Gallagher just sneaking it onto the green, just creeping over the bunker, a long way from the hole. Made par on 12.
Jackie, I remember we saw going into the rough off the tee at 15. So this cuddly little one for his par, he drops a shot. He'll slip back to 8 under par. 3 holes to play for Cheika. That's his first drop shot of the day. But that hole was always going to be a very difficult one.
Yes, they've moved the tee up on 15 today, 30 yards, making the drive a little bit easier, but it's always a tough second over the water. Jean tries for the birdie on 11.
Greens are putting beautifully. There may be a little grain on them, but Ronald McNeil and his hard-working green staff have certainly got the golf course in the sort of condition that would defy any player playing this week to criticise it.
Now, Woosnam yesterday on this 15th hole played a majestic 1-iron over the water, and he hit it from the middle of the fairway. Today he's in thick rough. 180, 190 yards to go.
I don't know that he's made it, has he?
Can he get over the drink?
Oh, easily. Easily over it, but not up to the green. John Bickerton, meanwhile, at 11, will tap in for his 5. So Bickerton drops a shot and he goes back to 9 under. Leaving Gallagher on his own at 10 under in second place. Bickerton now at 9 under with Russell and Kjeldsen and with Van der Velde. Cheika's now back on 8 under. Christopher Hannell from Sweden is on 8 under par from Stockholm, former Eisenhower Trophy amateur. Philip Price at 8 under, Woosnam at 8 under, and Kang Wook-soon from South Korea is also on 8 under par. These are the top 11 at this stage on day 3 of the Qatar Masters, a tournament which the locals here, and in particular the chairman of the committee running the event, ensure us in that letter this week in the tournament handouts that the Qatar Masters is here to stay, and they're looking to eventually become as strong in terms of the field as Dubai was last week. Hoping to perhaps get together with Dubai and share some of the incentives, if you like, that enable them to bring over players such as Mark O'Meara, Greg Norman, Fred Couples in the past.
Good shot by Kjeldsen on 11. Just looking down the leaderboard, there's only one player at the moment in the top 10 that featured in this event last year. Ian Woosnam, who's tied for 7th at the moment, finished 9th last year, but all the others are either further down the leaderboard this week or didn't feature all that well. Now Laurie, can he control the flight of the ball out of this thickish grass? You can see what's facing him. He needs to get it up that bank over those traps to get it anywhere near the hole. And he's playing very well, Laurie, when he gets himself into a spot of bother. He's not panicking. He's playing good strategy at those moments and playing for the fatter part of the greens, relying on his putting stroke. And when he hits the fairway, he's being pretty aggressive.
We'll take a break. Still no sign of that Nike stuff, John.
Not one of yesterday's biscuits.
Well, I felt they tasted a bit of shampoo. But you'll see, I don't eat now between, and I tell you, it'll take a little while. I'm not being stupid, but I actually feel better psychologically as well. I'm almost at the arrogant point.
Yeah.
I'm doing this, excuse me. Do you know what I mean? And I just want to stick with it.
And lost weight.
It's absolutely important to stick with it.
This is hardly exciting though, is it?
Not exciting at all, is it?
No. I didn't want to sort of, dampen your spirits if you were on a high.
Another hour and a half to go. Kilts.
Yes, played one match with Gordon Sherry, lost to Tiger Woods and John Harris, but no disgrace in that.
David Howell held the winning putt there in that match, didn't he? And last week's winner in Dubai.
Yes, brief glimpse there of Jacob on the rock that we were on at the start of our show at 16.
Done a nicely hold there by Raymond Russell for his par at the 12th. He'll stay at 9 under. Raymond Russell, who lost to Dean Robertson in the Scottish Amateur Championship final back in 1993, and then played international amateur golf for Scotland with Robertson as his partner. Robertson, who's now a pro and on tour, and promised me at the beginning of the year that he was going to really be sticking in, but nothing much has happened for Dean Robertson so far this year.
No, that's not Bernhard Langer, although that's a Langer style grip. And well, very disappointing bogey for Kelton. And he's played all 5 events so far on the European Tour, but without a great deal of success. But having a very good week here in Qatar. It's 2 over par in the South African Open for 43rd. 10 over par last week in Dubai. 3 other missed cuts in the South African PGA, the Heineken and the Malaysian Opens.
Tell the European Tour, Warren, would love to have all your statistics at hand the way you have. That's par for Laurie. 14 under. 4 ahead of Gallagher, 5 ahead of Russell, of Van der Velde, of Bickerton, who's just dropped 2 shots in the last 5 holes. green at 15. And back to the tee. Did I say 15? 13? Short 13th. I might say that Warren Humphreys putting up 3 fingers, which is better than just 1 or even 2. Everybody knows it's the short 13th. 15th is into the wind and probably the most difficult hole today.
Raymond Russell. His tee shot, I was mentioning just a little while ago that he made 8 birdies in a row. Happened to be a tournament record, or tied the tournament record. Ian Woosnam's also had 8 birdies in a row at the Benson and Hedges International at Fulford. So was Seve Ballesteros, Tony Johnson, and this man, John Bickerton, in the Portuguese Open at Penalonga back in 1995.
You'll be looking forward to getting back there again to Penalonga. They're playing the Estoril Open there later in the year, and that's a good shot from Bickerton, isn't it, at 12.
And who's the other man that's made 8 in a row?
Severiano Ballesteros?
Yes, I mentioned him, but Marco Mira.
Ah, Marco Mira.
The Alfred Dunhill Cup in 1996. So a pretty elite band of players.
Whether that really counts, I suppose it does. I mean, it's an unusual competition.
It's medal match play.
It is medal match play, yes.
They are holding out everything.
They are holding out everything, you're quite right. Slapped wrist there from Warren Humphreys, as I even suggested that the Dunhill Cup was not really a 72-hole competition. But no one can deny that Marco Mira had 8 birdies in a row in that competition. This is Stephen Gallagher.
And that shows you how the wind is changing here, coming more behind the players on 14. Gallagher with an iron off that tee. And earlier in the week they've been hitting 3 woods and drivers.
At the 12th, Van der Velde. Coming from, well, quite dramatically from the right. Oh, and it ran right in front of the hole there. He'll get his par. But it would have been nice to make a birdie there. Quite a swing on that, almost Augusta Masters style.
Lijon being a little bit more consistent this week than last week in Dubai. 77-69, 76-69, so hadn't kind of got it all together, but things starting to take shape for him this week.
Suggestion, by the way, that we might have a 3rd event in the Middle East next year, or perhaps the year after, at Abu Dhabi.
It'd certainly be welcomed by the players. It's nice to, when you're playing in a certain part of the world, to try and take in a few tournaments in one go. Certainly makes it more profitable. Long way to come for some of the players from Europe. The early part of the season.
Very nice birdie by Bickerton at the 12th, so he joins Gallagher again in 2nd place.
Woosnam on the 16th. Little pitch away from the right-hand side. There's the limestone rock that we were talking about, forcing the players away to the right off the tee.
Gallagher found the rough off the tee at 14. Uphill all the way.
Doesn't swing the club anything like his uncle. Bernhard. He's not a German, is he, Bernard Gallagher?
Well, not to my knowledge.
Bernard Gallagher doesn't swing at anything like him at all. Of course, Bernard wasn't the best driver in the world, but he was a very aggressive, fine iron player.
And pretty good short game in his early days.
A wonderful putter, excellent short game. Just the Achilles heel was the big stick. I'm sure he'd have liked to have been playing at this time in his career with the modern trend in drivers being a bit more forgiving than persimmon-headed woods.
How do you think he'll do on the senior tour?
I think he'll do very well. Very well indeed, because he is a fierce competitor, big heart, kept himself in pretty good shape. Of course, teaches the Sultan of Brunei, doesn't he?
Or even the Sultan of Brunei's son, I think. I'm not so sure the Sultan actually plays, but you're absolutely right in pinpointing one of the royal families that he looks after. Of course, he's also dealt, I'm sure, with Prince Andrew from time to time, because Prince Andrew plays a lot at Wentworth, where Bernard Gallagher was the club professional for so long.
Of course, the other thing you didn't know was the Sultan of Brunei is my neighbour.
Well, that's interesting.
No, I know you didn't know that. Well, he's my neighbour if you go across a road and across a field, across the stud farm that he owns, and the other hundreds of acres that
across
he
the wall,
has.
the moat and the barbed wire fence.
But he is the next house to me. But anyway, that's by the by.
Well, that's interesting. At the 12th there, safely on the putting surface. Kang for a birdie at 15 to move to 9 under. Well, I tell you, he's got his supporters. There can't be too many people surely from South Korea here. But certainly he's got his own fan club. And playing much better here this week than he did in Dubai Creek last week.
Quite a short second shot for Paul Lawrie here on 12. Hit the ideal tee shot, just under 130 yards. And with the wind from that right-hand side, just looks as if he's going to hit a 3/4 9-iron. Trying to open the blade, hold it up into that wind. And he's done exactly that. Well, we've seen him in trouble on the last few holes, and he's played a little bit more conservatively there from the ideal position, able to be a little bit more aggressive, and that's the way to play this course. I'll tell you what, Russell is on a roll, and when this man gets his act together, he is a very tough cookie. That's his third birdie in 4 holes, and Russell is now at 10 under.
Never been known to be over patriotic. I resist the temptation to say 3 Scots in the top 4 at the moment. There's so much golf still to be played here. But Paul Lawrie leads by 4 from Gallagher and Russell, and John Bickerton from England's up there too at 10 under par.
Is he there anywhere? No.
It's just been delivered. We have it now.
There's Sean McKeel as well. He's played.
Did he play last week?
Yeah, he played Malaysia, Dubai. Sean McKeel. And what's the other one? Ed Fryer.
Right. See if there's anybody else.
Played as well. I don't think he did all that well. Sean McKeel, who finished 4th in Malaysia, and
What's the best Fright did? Second?
Fryer finished 5th in Dubai and 9th in Malaysia.
Presumably that's Dave Barrett, Canada, isn't it?
I don't know.
Who was that sent that one away through there? Who's playing 13? Welcome back to the Qatar Masters. It's a blowy day here, and we have a chance of a birdie for Paul Lawrie, the leader. Well done. Fourth birdie of the day for Paul Lawrie. He moves to 15 under par, and he stretches his lead over the field to 5 shots.
This is a very, very impressive performance from Paul Lawrie. To say that he's played well, just over 2.5 rounds now on this course, hasn't dropped a shot, 14 under. Really stamping his authority on this field and making it very difficult for the players behind to get any impetus to make their charge.
More golf coming up on the Golf Channel this afternoon at 1:30 this afternoon. That's a changed time, by the way. 1:30 today, the second round of the Nike Mississippi Gulf Coast Open from the Oaks Golf Club at Pass Christian in Mississippi. Dave Barr and Keith Nolan and Chris Cox leading there with rounds of 67. Interesting to see that Ed Fryatt, who was 5th in Dubai, 9th in Malaysia on the European Tour, shot 70. He's lying joint 12th, and Sean McKeel, 4th in Malaysia. He's on 72. But Barr, Nolan and Cox leading the way. And coverage of the second round beginning at 1:30 today on the Golf Channel's continuing live coverage of the Nike Tour.
Bickerton on 13. This was the hole that he made his 1 on yesterday. Ooh, I thought for a minute he was going to make 2 today. But going a little bit further on than he would have liked out of that trap.
Got a walk not dissimilar to that of Sandy Lyle. Has a long back like Sandy Lyle, and the same kind of gait, if you like. Jaker, 17th for a 2.
How many times have we seen that sort of putt from Alex Jaker? Quite a few lipping out or not finding the bottom of the hole. Really is the story with Jaker's game. I think he's as good as anyone in Europe, and better than most from around the world from tee to green. With a putter, he's, well, downright horrible at times.
Maybe you should go to Dave Peltz and get a putting lesson.
Well, Monty did last year, didn't he?
Certainly did. I might tell you that Dave Peltz and Dean Reinmuth and Karen Palacios are on Golf Channel Academy all next week at 7 o'clock. As Van der Velde just misses out there. That's Golf Channel Academy next Monday through Sunday at 7 o'clock. All week these 3 teachers will be helping you with your game.
Never easy to hole putts on windy days. A little bit of nap and grain on the green, but certainly Lawrie finding his touch. So is Raymond Russell, and there is a way to do it. Mind you, if you can't hold putts on these greens on this sort of surface, as good as they are, you probably can't hold them anywhere. Kang, who's handily placed here at 9 under on 16.
He's won the Tournament Players Championship in Malaysia in '96, the Kuala Lumpur Open, the Perrier Hong Kong Open, the Omega PGA Championship. These last 2 in successive weeks, and I think he was the first player to do that on the Omega Tour, or the Asian PGA Tour as it is now. Comes from Korea, and Kang is 32 years old.
Bickerton missing his par putt there on 13. So this for the bogey. Yes, Kang, of course, just passed on the Asian Tour. He was one of the few players that had won 4 events on the Asian Tour, but of course with Jerry Norquist win in Malaysia, he now won 5.
Here's a man who's on a bit of a roll. This is at 14, Raymond Russell. 3 birdies in the last 4 holes.
Every time we've looked at him, he's knocked it in the can. I wonder if he could do it here for an eagle too. I don't know, but we might see another birdie. Got hepatitis B out in the Far East at the beginning of last season. It really knocked him for 6. and he was never right all year, despite doing very well in the Open Championship where he finished 4th. And that was really a performance out of nowhere.
Short 13th, Laurie.
Something just disturbing him. Might have been the sweat running down his face. It is pretty warm out there, but with that breeze, keeping the players pretty cool. Medium iron for Laurie, 177 to carry the water, so that's not really in play. Breeze from the right, pin back left. And look at this, I tell you what, 15 under. Well, they were wondering how they can score 18 under par around this course. Well, the answer's pretty easy. Just keep knocking it stone dead like Paul Laurie, and it's pretty much a formality. Laurie really on the top of his game.
And looks so relaxed. Gary Evans has had a 71 to finish at 6 under par. Wayne Riley is in the clubhouse too at 6 under par. He too shooting 71.
One almost feels a little bit sorry for Søren Kjeldsen running into this sort of match. Not often he finds himself at the top of the leaderboard, but playing with someone who's really on the pinnacle of their form.
Yeah, Kjeldsen's 2 shots behind at the start, and now finds himself 7 shots back, and really hasn't played all that badly.
Quite a free, rhythmical swing Stephen Gallagher has. Did so well at the end of last year. Last event on the Challenge Tour. Was lying in 12th place. Only 15 cards given on the Challenge Tour. Went out on that last round in Portugal. Shot 66 to absolutely guarantee himself playing in Europe. And that was a fine performance, so he can withstand pressure.
Well, Russell for his 4th birdie in 5 holes, and this to move to 11 under par and take 2nd place on his own. No. I must say I feel rather sorry for Scottish journalist Jock McVicker, who's well known to many of the US golfing journalists, who came out to Dubai, covered that one, and then couldn't be bothered to come here this week. Didn't anticipate there would be any Scottish stories, and headed off home. And look what he's missing. Paul Laurie at 15 under, perhaps about to go 16 under. He's lying handy at 13 for a birdie. Gallagher and Russell 10 under, 3 Scots in the 3 top spots. I mean, to come all the way out to Dubai and then go home, bloody stupid.
Do you know who Stephen Gallagher is coached by? Do you know who he gets lessons from?
Hey, John.
Lucy's pal. Don't think it would be Bob Torrance. He's up in Scotland though. No, I don't know.
Is it a Scottish coach? That's Scottish.
Well, he lives in Bathgate, so I'm assuming he'll have a Scottish coach, but maybe not. Not necessarily. Maybe Bill Ferguson's having a look at him, for all I know. Certainly know he's under. Just trying to think. There's all these guys up there, you know, like Jim Farmer. And I just don't know. This is Kilson at 13 for a 2. But about twice as long as the one that Paul Lawrie has for his 2. Kilson stays at 8 under. Lawrie now with the chance to move to 16 under.
Just looking at the top of the leaderboard there with Lawrie, Gallagher and Russell. And they've all got Scottish coaches in one form or another. This man, of course, has lessons from Adam Hunter, Raymond Russell from Bob Torrance, and Stephen Gallagher. Well, he uses Ray McKinnon as a coach for his who's part of the Scottish Rugby Union, for his fitness at any rate, not for golfing coaching.
16 under, 6 shots clear of the field. Paul Lawrie hasn't dropped a shot this week. He's had 16 birdies. He's had 5 of them today.
Well, last week David Howell won on Valentine's Day. It was kind of a St. Valentine's Day massacre. Well, I think we've got another one this week. Good week for Scotland. Mind you, not all over yet. Bickerton.
Big day tomorrow, of course, because it's the Calcutta Cup in Rugby Union, Scotland playing England. All sorts of bets floating around at the complex here as to who's going to win that match as we look at the 14th from the air.
Well, this is the hole that Bickerton has just played his second shot from, away on that left-hand side. But today down breeze, trying to carry the wasteland areas away to the right. Pretty much a formality. In fact, we saw Stephen Gallagher take an iron off this tee. Didn't want to run through the fairway on the right where they've grown the rough in. And the second shot uphill. Well, today straight down breeze with the second shot. Not much more than, well, a big wedge for the players. Awkward pin placement. Cut away a little bit on the left-hand side. Certainly wouldn't want to drag it away to the left. 411 yards straight down the wind.
Van der Velde. 14th. Birdie chance. Well, now that Van der Velde has played his second shot, the opportunity for Kilson and Lawrie to hit off. Lawrie had 4 birdies on the first day in that 68. He had 7 birdies on the second day, 11 birdies on the first 2 days, and I'm inclined to think that in our opening I mentioned that he did 10 birdies. And if you spotted that accidental mistake, I do apologize. He certainly had 5 more today, and that's 16 in total. He hasn't dropped a shot. He's 16 under, and he leads by 6.
So different schools of positive thought, aren't there? You know, there's one side of me that thinks, well, it'd be quite nice if he actually dropped a shot sometime today and got rid of that little bogey, and perhaps went on and made a few more birdies and still led by a fair number. Of course, other people would say, why would you say that? You know, if he's not dropped a shot all week, and perhaps he can play the entire tournament a little bit like Jesper Parnevik did a few years ago when he won the Scandinavian Masters. Played all 4 days without a drop shot on his card.
Raymond, I beg your pardon, DJ Russell, David Russell did the same as well in a tournament in France, which he won. Look at the desert there, and the wind whipping across there. Danger of a sandstorm a little later in the afternoon, we're told, as from the 16th tee.
Well, that gives you a good idea of how the wind gets up. Gallagher there right into the neck of the little dog leg, as Raymond Russell plays across the water on 15 and plays a handsome shot.
All these fellas are playing well in the wind, aren't they? Laurie won his tournament in the wind at Catalan. Raymond Russell and Gallagher enjoying playing in the wind. Of course, it can blow quite strongly at St Andrews, and
I was going to say that's normal for the Scots, isn't it, to play golf in the wind? Not so normal for this man, Jean van der Velde from France. But he's played some good golf, and I thought that surely would have been his third birdie of the day, but he was denied.
Checker for a birdie at the last. Very nicely done by Checker. So that's a round of 69 to add to his earlier rounds of 69. So there's a certain consistency with Alec Checker.
Well, James fairly jovial there, despite I think recording a level par round. Not quite sure what he did at the 18th. If he made a 4, then it would be 1 under to be 7 under. So we'll keep you updated. Only made 1 birdie today, 1 bogey.
Well, I think that was Bickerton there, but the putt did not go in.
And in fact, James did make a par of the last to be round in level par for the day.
Steve or Soren? Soren Hansen or?
No, it can't be Soren, it's on the course.
Wouldn't be Warren Bennett, would it?
I heard them say Steve.
Oh, Steve Meadow. He's probably thinking about Steve, wasn't he?
Who's Andrew speaking to? Just wondering who Andrew was speaking to.
That's the second ball.
Hi, Mommy.
No, it's what you say. No, I don't.
Philip Price has made a 2 at the 17th, and he's on 9 under. Philip Price is also good in the wind. Well, I think we're looking for Paul Laurie here, Warren, to two-putt this.
Yeah, it's down the hill, down green. Bit of swing from right to left, so one that he'd just be looking to try and work hard on getting the pace right. And should it trundle into the hole, so much for the good.
It's almost going to be low, I think, that.
Did well, held its line for a long time, but always set it a little bit too far left. But within that range where it's stone dead, he'll accept par and walk onto the next tee.
Christopher Hannell has had a 70 and he's on 8 under par.
Oh, watch out, look at this. Well, needs a good lie from the wasteland across the water at 15. Into the breeze, and a good shot by Jean van der Velde. Bit of a wayward tee shot, you'd have to say. A long way right off the tee for Jean. Now this is a putting stance that doesn't give me a great deal of confidence from Kelson. Looks a little bit cramped over the ball, and he's done well there. Just goes to show there are more than one way to play the game, to putt. In the end, it's what you feel comfortable with.
Just keeping you up to date with what Bob May's doing. A bogey and a birdie on the front 9 and a bogey and a birdie on the back 9. He's level par for the day. He's got 4 holes to play. Correction, now 3 holes to play, and is 7 under, lying 12th on his own now.
Well, we saw Ian Woosnam on the green on the last hole, a long way from the hole. A little bit of rush of blood, so this to save par.
He may be just finding it a little bit difficult with the long putter that he's using now to handle it in the wind.
Yeah, it's never easy at the best of times in the breeze, but that's a good putt. That was hit with a little bit of better pace.
So a round of 70 for Ian Woosnam. 68, 70, 70. 8 under par for the Welshman, who's lying joint ninth with Christopher Hannell in the clubhouse and with Soren Kelson out on the golf course. This is Stephen Gallagher. Short 17th. That wind perhaps moving around a little bit, but that's a pretty useful shot. Looks to be, well, almost into their face there.
Well, a little bit more from the right, in fact, 160 yards, slightly into the breeze, but from the right-hand side. And with that pin cut on the left-hand side, well, they've got a lot of green to work with. But a good shot, nevertheless, by Gallagher.
Well, let's just have a look at some of the shots that have helped Paul Lawrie to move into a clear lead of 6 shots on this third day. This is his third shot to the first hole, almost into the hole for an eagle 3. He made his birdie quite easily. He parred the second hole, and then at the third, the short third, had this for birdie 2.
26 putts on the third round that he had, and he starts off with 2 single putts in the first 3 holes.
2 under for the day. At that point, 13 under, and here at the fourth, another birdie putt, this time from just off the green. What a start. Straight into the hole for Lawrie. 4, 4, 2, 3 against a par of 5, 4, 3, 4, 14 under. No more birdies through the ton.
This is approach to the 10th, the 12th I should say. Rather, they've made par on 10 and 11. Beautifully held up that little 9-iron.
This for his 4th birdie of the day.
Left a couple of putts short previously, once again finding the pace absolutely perfectly.
And he wasn't finished. Just a few moments later, he stood on the tee at the short 13th and produced this superb shot. Well, the way Paul Lawrie has been putting this week, that was virtually a tap in. No problems for him. He holed it. 5 under for the day, 16 under for the tournament, and 6 shots clear of his nearest rivals in the Qatar Masters. Yes, you blink and suddenly there are 4 players on 10 under par. John Bickerton has just holed for a birdie at 15, and so too has Jean van der Velde. So they're both on 10 under par, joining Gallagher and Russell. This is van der Velde on the tee at 16.
Thank you.
Very exposed tee, that, isn't it?
Yes, and good job they've made it a little bit bigger. Some players last year were very nervy walking up there. It's a very narrow ledge to walk up. It's fairly high up. And when you're swinging, certainly in a breeze, they were
Quiet,
feeling
please.
they could almost fall off the tee, but it's twice the size it was last year. So a little bit better. And
Quiet,
there's
please.
another one of the marshals actually getting in the way of John Bickerton. This is now, if you keep quiet, I'll be all right. Pretty good 2-ball this on 15. Both players making birdies on the very tough par 4 15th. And 2 good drives down 16.
Well, on the 15th fairway, playing over the water, Kelson. Well, he's got the easier shot of the 2 in the last group because Laurie's in the deeper rough. A long way, isn't it?
Long way, not finding the putting surface. In fact, about 2 clubs short, so perhaps he didn't quite make the contact that he was looking for. Seemed to get a good flight from our camera behind the player there. But Laurie, you could see, really did drag the tee shot quite a long way and found a lie that he can't get it over the water. And well, with a 6-shot lead, he's being smart. He might be able to make par from there. But of course, facing his first drop shot of the tournament.
How far has he still got to go there, Warren? 130 metres or something like that?
It's about 140, 45 yards to the front of the green, and on 15 today, flag cut 15, so 155 yards. Still a fair way to go for him.
There was a chance there for Stephen Gallagher, but just a 3 at 17. Kang to tap in at the last. 71 on day 1 for Kang, 67 yesterday and 69 today. Just the 1 drop shot for Kang Wook-soon from South Korea, and he's on 9 under. Jerry Norquist has completed his round today, and he's on 3 under par. Norquist, who won in Malaysia. Currently 13 shots off the lead, but this is an important 3rd shot for Paul Lawrie.
Good 7-iron into the breeze there for Lawrie, but left himself a little bit to do.
So maybe the first drop shot coming up for Paul Lawrie.
Really trying to focus on getting a little bit nearer to the ball and clearing the left side a little bit quicker through the impact. Almost have the feeling that the club is going away left after he's hit the ball.
Speaking about Jerry Norquist, a round of 72 for him, even par 72 for Norquist today.
Raymond Russell just conferring with Caddy that he said he can hold this up as much as he likes. Breeze very strong from right to left, and with just a medium iron on his hand. It's a fairly lofty club, quite hard to put a lot of left to right spin on it and control it into a right to left wind. And well, if you put too much on it, then it takes a little bit of yardage off the shot, and that's what's happened to Russell. And he'll be disappointed he's missed such a big target.
Van der Velde at 16. That for 3.
Always, when you come to a hole that's about 320 yards or so long.
Madame Van der Velde watching the action. The whole family are here this week. I saw Jean coming down to breakfast with his young daughter, who seems to be growing up very quickly. All the players staying in the Sheraton Doha. Well, in many respects, Warren, you'll be hoping he misses this to get what you described as that bogey off his back, so that he's not thinking in terms of, can I complete this 72 holes without dropping one? If he gets a bogey here, at least he can forget all about that and just concentrate on winning the tournament.
Yes, you kind of sometimes get it in your mind when you've played 3 rounds without a bogey, and if he made a bogey early on in the 4th round, perhaps you might get into his mind and think, oh my goodness, am I going to have another one of those wretched rounds? But if he drops one here, then it's been and gone.
Remember Greg Norman almost completing the Tournament Players Championship without dropping a shot till the back 9 on the final day. Oh, he came so close to maintaining his record of not having dropped a shot, just an inch in it there. But Paul Lawrie drops his first shot of the week, and he's back on 15 under. 5 shots clear still of Gallagher, Russell, Van der Velde and Bickett.
No, I think the important thing for Paul Lawrie now is to hit a couple of good tee shots, certainly on 16 and 18, to get the confidence back. And if he can find a birdie over one of these last 3 holes, there certainly are birdieable, then he'll get the confidence back straight away. Gallagher up the last hole.
Bickerton just missing his 3 at the 16th. So he will remain at 10 under.
Well, we saw the tee shot off tape of Gallagher. That was his 2nd shot, and perhaps a little bit of inexperience there, out with the wood on a hole, well, taking the wood when no chance of being able to reach the green, and got stuck on the inside of it. Club flipped over, and now, well, looking at bogey probably at best.
Well, I might still make his par.
Has a chance.
I think we'll take a break. Nothing like Paul now, is it? Green looks very boring. I mean, I don't suppose you need anything, other than that if you've got a big lump.
It is boring.
It is boring.
Yeah. It should have been shaped a little
Maybe
bit
a
better.
step on it or something.
Yeah, or a bunker, or make it a bit smaller.
Yeah.
It's not very well framed, is it?
No, it's like as if they just cut a bit of grass.
Yeah. Arts and crafts. Portugal. I saw him practicing before the last round, trying to hit drivers to get his rhythm. He was only trying to hit a driver 150 yards, almost hitting them in slow motion. Stood on the first tee, went normal pace and hit it 80 yards through his legs nearly. You know, so it's obviously sometimes not happy with the driver.
Oh, that fella's mother obviously cuts his hair, puts the pudding bowl over and just takes the scissors and trims it off. Looks to me very much like an American haircut, that.
Almost like a Johansson cap, isn't it? Like
Well, we're up at the 18th where Stephen Gallagher has put his second into the water.
Now he's got to drop the ball where it last crossed the margin of the hazard. I thought it might have been a little bit further back, leaving himself a longer shot once he'd taken the penalty. If he can drop it up by somewhere near the green, then certainly he may well have a pretty good opportunity of just a simple chip and putt to save his par, which will be a fortunate drop. Jamie Spence there, his playing partner, very well versed in the rules.
I would have thought they're in the wrong position to drop the ball there myself.
Well, it's very hard without being there watching the line. You see if it's carried the water hazard in one place and then gone on past back over dry land, then crossed another part of the margin of the hazard, then he's got to drop up there. But
I think he's doing the right thing here.
Obviously a little bit of indecision, and Jamie pointing out where he should go back to.
Jimmy, who fell foul of a ruling at the Roman Masters one year when he was trying for the Ryder Cup, playing very well. He took a wrong drop and was disqualified.
Par putt for Russell on 17. We saw his tee shot a little bit short of the green, so good chip and putt for him. Stays at 10, 5 back.
I can tell you that Paul Lawrie has hit a terrific tee shot down the 16th. And so the drop shot hasn't upset him. But we're with Stephen Gallagher. What about the shot? He's playing it downwind, isn't he?
Well, I think the thing is he's not going to be left with a very long shot for his fourth, but the fact that he's not able to drop it back on the fairway means that from that semi-rough lie, you can see the wind actually from left to right as he plays it. It's just a question of how it's going to come out. If it comes out a little bit hot from that semi-rough lie, it can be difficult to control the bounce on the green, so he's not going to get the normal amount of spin, but they're fairly inventive Scottish players playing those chip shots from 60 or 70 yards.
Well, I wonder how Lawrie will be here at 16. Chasing it up the green. It's uphill all the way to the pin, and well, he's got the chance of a birdie to get back that drop shot. Didn't quite release the way he wanted. Didn't quite release it the way he wanted to.
Yes, always works hard on his game, worries about it a little bit. Paul Lawrie, as up ahead, holding the finish there. Picture frame finish by Jean van der Velde, and that's why that'll please his wife Bridget, who's we saw a few moments ago walking around watching.
And the little girl's name is, of course,
Alexandra and Anne Sophie.
I think it was Anne Sophie I saw this morning. Well, that's a very good fourth shot from Stephen Gallagher, which gives him the chance to save par. So many of the youngsters here hoping to get autographs. The Probably go to the Qatar tennis tournament as well. That's been won in the past by Stefan Edberg on 2 occasions. No birdie for Spence. So Spence will finish the day on 6 under par, having started the day at 6 under. 72 for Spence today to add to the 71 and 67.
There's not enough red numbers on that for Jamie. Of course, red's one of his favourite colours because of Arsenal.
Yes, his soccer team Arsenal drew 1-1 with Manchester United this week in the Premiership. Manchester United missed a penalty, would you believe? Dwight York was the culprit there. 1-1, Arsenal, the league champions.
I'm not sure Stephen Gallagher is a football supporter. He's probably more a rugby man.
No, he's a Celtic supporter.
Yeah, I stand corrected. Aren't they green and white hoops?
They are. But his uncle's a Hibernian supporter. Well hauled, good 5 by Stephen Gallagher after being in the water. So a round of 69 by Gallagher to add to earlier rounds of 69 and 68. Just the 1 shot dropped by Stephen Gallagher today as he maintains his challenge for the title at 10 under par. He's currently 5 shots behind Paul Lawrie, but if Lawrie holds this putt, he'll be 6 behind. This is for 16 under at 16.
Good opportunity this up the hill, and that is a great way to come back after your first drop shot, and that will do no end of good to the confidence of Paul Lawrie. Birdie on 16. Just the sort of reply that he was looking for.
So he's had 17 birdies, 1 drop shot, and look at just the way he weighted this perfectly. It begins to turn now. I wondered if it was just going to come in front of the hole. It just does, but there's enough impetus to carry it into the hole on the side door. Meanwhile, at 17, Van der Velde for a birdie 2 at the short 17th. But he doesn't manage to coax his one in. So he will remain at 10 under. Van der Velde looking for a birdie at the last to move ahead of Gallagher in the clubhouse. Gallagher at 10 under after 18 today. Van der Velde, Russell and Bickerton at 10 under. But they've got the last hole to play. We'll take a break.
Largest 54-hole lead, 3 shots early else. Lowest. Oh, bloody rocks. Lowest 54, 16 under, early else. So if he makes the
Why is the helicopter flying sideways? That's the question I would ask you.
So the cameraman can film it out the window. It's always got flying that's loose into the wind. Good cup of tea. Yeah. Excellent.
Annoying that we're going to miss this as well. There's so many shots, you know, near the end. That's my question.
2 under.
74 today. I tell you, Bob May waited just long enough to play that shot to allow you to rejoin us at the Qatar Masters. Bob May, who's currently 7 under and has that putt now at the last for 8 under par. Raymond Russell has already played on to the green in 3 and has a birdie putt as well to get to 11 under. Not too much has happened for Bob May today, just a couple of birdies on the card and a couple of drop shots. We're back on the short 17th, and the man walking across the screen there is Søren Kjeldsen, who hasn't had a birdie since the 10th and who's currently 8 under. Mattias Gronberg, by the way, had a 71 today to finish 6 under. Another Scandinavian in the field. Tell you, Kjeldsen's doing well. Another birdie for Kjeldsen. He moves to 9 under par. He moves into joint 6th play with Kang Wook-soon, Philip Price and Alex Cheika all in the clubhouse. Kjeldsen has a chance to get to 10 under if he can birdie the last.
Yes, looks a pretty good fight out of it for second place, but Laurie 6-shot lead. We know that's never a formality when anyone is leading a golf tournament. Lots of things can happen, but a chance to get 7 ahead.
Well, this for his 18th birdie of the week.
And I always remember what Dale Hayes said to me, and I'm sure I've said it before on the Golf Channel. Dale Hayes, who won the Order of Merit on the European Tour back in 1976. He always wanted to try and get as far ahead as he could going into the last round so he could choke in comfort and still win.
Par for Laurie. He stays 16 under par. 6 shots clear of the field. The widest 54-hole lead so far this season, 3 by Ernie Els, and he was 16 under when he did that.
Yes, and a birdie at the last hole for Laurie, and he'll shoot 199, which will be the lowest 3-round total of the year. And remember, last year, Andrew Sherborne led after 3 rounds at 15 under, so it's a pretty good performance by Laurie.
No birdie at the last for Raymond Russell. So 10 under par is the way he's going to finish. Raymond Russell, who started the day at 8 under, so 66 on day 1, 70 on day 2, and this is 470 on day 3. Our computer playing up here. Paul Laurie has been removed completely from it, leaving Stephen Gallagher, Raymond Russell, Jean van der Velde and John Bickett in joint first place, but of course that's not the case. I don't know that that actually was I think that came through on air very clearly. And Bob May misses his birdie as well. So May 5 at the last, and he'll finish on 7 under par. That's just the way he started. So a round of 72, par matching 72 for Bob May, and he's in 11th spot going into the final round. Well, in actual fact, if Paul Laurie comes back onto our leaderboard, Bob May will be 12th.
And he has done.
Ask and ye shall receive. Well, they're fairly raced round today. I think we're going to finish ahead of time, the way they're going at the present moment. Still a scheduled half hour to go. But 25 minutes of the program to go, and they certainly won't take 25 minutes to play this last hole. But there's the time here in Qatar, 5 minutes past 4 in the afternoon.
They teed off at 12:40. Good address position by Laurie. And absolutely hit like a tracer shell down the 18th. Actually run out of fairway, hit it too well.
Earlier in the week, oh well, let's just move up the 18th to where Jean van der Velde is, digging one out. Chasing it up the green. This might be quite good at the end of the day. Well done from there. He's got that for 4 for 11 under. Jean van der Velde, who hasn't won since he took the Roma Masters back in 1993. 26th in the Order of Merit, the Volvo Order of Merit last season.
Well, last season it was the Volvo rankings, wasn't it? This season it's the Order of Merit.
Yeah, and it's euro instead of sterling. The whole thing's getting totally out of hand.
Bickerton's pitch to the last, and an excellent one it is.
So Bickerton has the chance to finish 11 under.
Highly important for some of these players perhaps to try and make some sort of move on the last hole. They don't want to give Laurie too much ground. If one of them could get to 11 within 5, certainly helps. Of course, Laurie might well birdie the last hole in the mood that he's in. Increase it to a 7-shot lead.
Bickerton's local caddy very happy that he's steering his man round and will no doubt get a useful percentage if Bickerton wins, and indeed a useful percentage wherever Bickerton finishes. That's the situation, with Laurie leading by 6 from 4 players in second place. There are 4 players in 6th spot as well: Kang, Price, Cheika and Kilson. Kilson can move up if he birdies the last. Stephen Gallagher must be ruining that second shot that went into the water, even though he did make his par.
So he did well to make par. I'd almost given him the 6 there, so gained a shot back.
Well, as they think about their shots, we'll take a break.
I did press the button. But it would do. When you press your lazy, it comes in my ears. Yeah. I don't think it went on air. Because I
usually don't hear you.
Huh?
I usually wouldn't hear you.
But if I press it now, can you still hear me? There you go. So I've got a finger on the lazy and you can hear. Go on, you talk.
John.
Here, listen. Go on, speak.
No. John, if I've got my lazy on here, it's not coming, not going to air, is it? It's not going to air. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you able to replay that, Woody? Okay. I've had him down all the time.
Yeah, but I've had him down, but he's so loud in my hands, I can't switch him off.
I know, neither can I. We're going to miss 2 closing putts here. That's a shame. Well, we don't have all the necessary equipment this week to bring you the pictures that we normally do, and I can tell you that Jean van der Velde finished with a birdie to finish 11 under, and John Bickerton missed his birdie putt and finished 10 under. Well, this is Paul Lawrie with his second shot up at the last, playing safely at 4 position, and looking to get up and down from there to move to 17 under. Jean van der Velde finishing at 11 under par. He was a round of 70 today for him. And Bickerton, well, he also started 9 under today, and he finished 10 under, so a round of 71 for John Bickerton.
Kelton getting his second shot a long way down the course.
Well, I wonder if that's John Wensley with his artistic shot, or maybe Graham Goldston. Our cameramen do in fact look for these artistic shots all the way around, as we give you the opportunity to see the putt that Jean van der Velde held when you were away for a break. That was the putt that gave him a closing birdie 4. 4 birdies on the card today, a 70 and 11 under par, trimming Laurie's lead for the moment to 5 shots. So Laurie at 16 under, Jean van der Velde after that putt in the clubhouse at 11 under par, Gallagher and Russell and Bickerton all in the clubhouse at 10 under. Well, it's always nice to see children enjoying themselves, as long as they don't make a noise when the players come up to the green and are putting.
Laurie, nice opportunity here, left himself a good lob wedge range from the green.
Yes, I think I said that Kelson playing his third shot was Paul Laurie. I got that one wrong, so my apologies.
Giving that a lot of air and, well, could have done with almost half a club more for Laurie.
I think we saw that shot before. I think we've seen it twice.
Yeah, it's just the slow-mo of Paul and his game, and as we've seen for most of the day, playing some pretty good shots into the greens when he's had the opportunity to attack. Just a tad light there with his pitch. Well, a few times that he's actually not got the weight of the shot right.
Of course, the shot we saw before of Paul Laurie was his second shot played for position. And so I was right all the time. I should have just kept quiet. This is Kelson's third shot. Well, both will be putting for their fours. Kelson for 10 under and Laurie for 17 under and a 6-shot advantage going into the last round. Nice to see people in these stands. They have the bluest seats I've ever seen on a stand, and one has to think that, well, I won't say it.
I'm just wondering whether you know what they call those Arab clothes, because I know in
Dish
Dubai,
dashes, don't
with Dubai it's a dish dash, isn't it? The gown. Well, I'm not sure in Qatar. I think they call it something else, but
I thought a dish dash was a dish dash was a dish dash.
no. It is slightly different. The language fraction different between Qatar and Dubai. And a good birdie in the end by Jean van der Velde, because he'll be drawn now to play with Laurie on the last day and keeping himself within 5 shots, unless of course Laurie holds this on the outside, you would think, birdie opportunity. 30-footer up the hill.
Well, Van der Velde actually coming back in 33 today. One of the better inward nines. Chika also home in 33. He's on 9 under. Well, Paul Laurie's not going to finish with a birdie, but he's still going to take the biggest margin of lead into the final round this season. Kelson. Kelson 9 under when he started, 9 under stepping up to this putt, so this for a 71. How did that one miss? There's a boyish charm about him, isn't there?
Yeah, it's not a bad performance today for Soren. And just looking down the list, Bickerton, Gallagher, Penn Nyman, Christopher Hannell, Frederick Lindgren, all doing pretty well in this tournament from the Challenge Tour. So tends to be that the Challenge Tour players appear to do better in the European Tour tournaments than those players from the qualifying school. Of course, last year we had Stephen Leaney winning a couple of events. He was the best player on tour last year from the Challenge Tour.
Well, the Challenge Tour gives them so much competitive experience as opposed to the qualifying school, doesn't it? 72 there for Kelson. 60, beg your pardon, 70, 65, 72, and well, this for Paul Lawrie's part at the last.
Yes.
Very nicely played. He finishes the day on 16 under. A 67 to add to a 68 and a 65. 3 excellent rounds. And on 16 under, Paul Lawrie has had 17 birdies in 54 holes, and he's dropped just 1 shot. 5 shots clear of Vandervelde, with whom he'll play tomorrow, as Warren was saying. Gallagher, Russell and Bickerton on 10 under par. And we'll go down a few pages and we'll pick out the odd name from time to time. Ian Woosnam at 8 under par. Maybe we expected him to do slightly better today and close the gap on the players at the top of the leaderboard. Well, I said we'd go down a few pages, but I don't think we will. We'll take a break.
We have 2 of them.
Sorry about that. I just had a blackout there.
Yeah.
You know, the shot looked the same, you know. Okay. We should have all this. Actually, it's better we don't have all these pages because this is what the folk like too, you know. Good man there, Hoddy, good man. The sky has gone away. That I'm bloody annoyed at making that cock up. But it took me a couple of seconds to work out what was wrong.
I didn't know what you were thinking. I couldn't help you.
No.
I just go, there we have.
Actually, when it's boring,
Oh. Oh.
there's Ross McFarlane in his usual position. I feel for Ross McFarlane because he's a nice lad, you know. And did he get a 5-year exemption for winning the Deutsche Bank?
Yeah.
Bloody lucky. This week we're in Qatar. The third round is complete. Let's just for a moment think about the story of the day here. A day when Paul Lawrie extended his lead to 5 shots over Jean van der Velde. This was his third shot to the par 5 first. Almost a 3. Opened with a birdie 4.
He parred the second, but when he got to the third hole, another good iron. Left himself this opportunity. Speed and line and pace, absolutely perfect. Lawrie 2 under after 3.
Meanwhile, John Bickerton was going pretty well. This was his second shot to the 4th. He had started with a birdie. He'd parred the second and third, and that shot enabled him to birdie the 4th hole. And when Lawrie stepped up to the green, just up to the edge of the green at 4, he took out his putter and popped that in for his third birdie in 4 holes. Fine start by the 30-year-old from Aberdeen in Scotland. Jean van der Velde, meanwhile, was moving along smoothly enough. Some excellent approach work by Lawrie.
Yes, that on the 7th hole, that was the first birdie of the day for Jean van der Velde, got him back to level par.
Bickerton just a bit unlucky there with another birdie chance. But Gallagher, Stephen Gallagher, had this for a birdie at 9. And that got him out in 33. He'd already birdied the 4th and the 7th. And when he came to the 10th, he played this excellent second shot to the plateau green. Didn't get the eagle, but he made a birdie.
Raymond Russell, renowned for his putting skills. Gets that second birdie on the back 9 to go with the birdie on the 6th that he had.
Bickerton at the 12th. Excellent shot there over the gully, which gave him his first birdie on the back 9. He dropped a couple of shots, one at 7 and one at 11.
Lawrie got a little bit negative in the centre of the round, but that birdie on 12 regaining his putting touch.
Yes, moving him to 15 under par. Russell at 13. And that's the way to do it. That's the green, chip it in, get your 2. And he'd gone 4, 3, 4, 2. Birdie, birdie, par, birdie at the start of the inward 9.
Been 3 holes in 1 this week by various players. John Bickerton holed on the 13th. Lawrie, when he got to it, hit a splendid shot. Wasn't going to be a 1, but he wasn't going to miss the putt. He'd make 2.
16 under par as van der Velde maintained his challenge. This for a birdie at 15.
Now there's a great birdie away in the wastelands on the right, played from the rocks. Oh, what a terrific way to make 3.
Lawrie hadn't dropped a shot, but he'd been in trouble in the rough off the tee. And Lawrie had this for par at 15. And for the first time this week, failed to make it, but though very narrowly, taking 5.
Stephen Gallagher played gallantly all day. Hit his second shot into the water into the 18th. Took a penalty drop, dropped out. Lovely pitch, saved his par.
Lawrie hit back after his drop shot at 15. First class tee shot. And then that putt going in for yet another birdie to move him to 16 under again and give him a 6-shot lead over the field, although Jean van der Velde had this putt at the last for a birdie to narrow that gap to 5.
John rounded 70.
Cheers.
Jean van der Velde in second place on 11 under par as Paul Lawrie signs autographs for the youngsters who've enjoyed the golf here today, and there's an opportunity, of course, for them to see the players at pretty close range. Well, tomorrow Paul Lawrie will be playing with Jean van der Velde. I was on TV, Mum. And, well, the Scottish flag flying bravely in the wind there. Our cameraman picking it out amongst the flags of many nations who are there. And, well, it's Paul Lawrie, I wonder, going to hang on. That's a very useful 5-shot cushion, Warren, isn't it, over the field?
It's very useful, and well, it's still going to be tough for him. It's never easy winning on the European Tour. He'll know that more than anyone, certainly with that, well, poor last round performance that he had in Portugal last year. But he'll be looking to put that behind him.
We're just going down several pages of the leaderboard here. Just perhaps you'll be able to spot your own particular favourite. If he continues to play with the confidence he's played over the first 54 holes, there's no reason why Paul Lawrie shouldn't score his first 72-hole triumph on the European Tour and do what Andrew Coulthard did last year here at Qatar. Coulthard, by the way, is back on 2 under par, so he's 14 shots off the lead. There is the man who last year took that wonderful trophy, which is an oyster with a pearl in the middle of it.
Bob May at 7 under. Well, we thought at the start of the week that maybe perhaps Bob might have a chance to win, but I think at 7 under, too far back to do anything.
Well, a reminder that there's more golf coming up on the Golf Channel today. It's the second round of the Nike Mississippi Gulf Coast Open, and 12:30 for that. I think I said 1:30 earlier. 12:30 for second round coverage of the Nike Mississippi Gulf Coast Open. Goodbye.